Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of the Post Fight Show here on the Mandatory. Remember, if you like the content, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And also follow us on our social media channels. We're at the Mandatory TKO. You can also see in the description where our names are, the ways that you can connect with us as well. And you can find us on the audio side. So if you are listening to this on the audio side, if you got a couple of minutes, leave a rate and review. Also give us a 5-star because those are the things that helps the channel grow. And if you've already done all of that, thank you so much for rocking with us. Lots to get into. It's been a crazy boxing weekend, one of the biggest. By the way, this is an interactive show, so if you got any comments, drop them. We will be getting to all your comments later in the show. But Bryan, I think we got to start off with the main event, and then coming up later in the show, we're gonna get into the all women's card that went down yesterday, and Taylor-Serrano, Katie Taylor 3. So we're gonna talk about that as well. So don't worry, we got you covered for your boxing fix. But let's start off with today because that ending that we just saw for the main event for Edgar Berlanga and Sheeraz, crazy, right? It only lasted 4 rounds.
Five.
And five. Okay, yes, five. Oh my God, it went by
Barely.
really fast.
We
Yeah,
barely got into the fifth. We probably shouldn't have.
that's
To
true.
be
That's
honest
true.
with you.
That's because Shiraz hurt Berlanga pretty badly, dropped him twice in that fourth round. Crazy. He ends up knocking out Berlanga. That's the first time Berlanga has ever been knocked out. It's his second loss of his career. Of course, his first one was Canelo Alvarez. But Bryan, we got to start off with you, man. Your fellow Puerto Rican. Uh,
And also from New York, by the way.
yes, yes.
I mean, I've been telling you guys for however long since we started doing the show that Edgar Berlanga, like he got dropped in the amateurs pretty bad, and people in this area of the country in New York City kind of knew he was chinny going into the pros, and the knockout streak sort of hid a lot of that. And then you saw what started happening as he started having longer fights and banking rounds, so to speak. And yeah, like I wasn't too surprised. I didn't like the fact that when he opened up in round four, I was like, I'm not sure this actually benefits him. And what I kept saying was in the build up to this, Carlos Adames made Hamzah Sheeraz struggle because Carlos Adames was moving his head, giving Shiraz angles, and Shiraz is like a straight line fighter. And Adames was like making him look silly. I thought he won that fight easily. But Edgar Berlanga is not going to do any of that. That's why I was like, I don't know if he has this in his bag, but he has to be able to move around to create angles. And Edgar Berlanga doesn't do that. Like he's also a straight line guy. Like he might move a little bit, but for the most part, like he's just going to try to overwhelm you with his power. And he's gotten increasingly patient in looking for those shots, allowing for openings for his opponent. Like the game plan was the game plan. He had to catch him to win. We also said like we're like maybe he should win this, but we weren't like super confident. I definitely wasn't. Because Shiraz, even though he was moving up to this weight class, look at how big this dude is. And on top of that, he had the height advantage, the reach advantage. And Edgar Berlanga, he's not the most high IQ fighter out there. Like, I ain't saying he's a dumb dude or whatever, because that would be disrespectful. But like, y'all saw it. You know what I mean? Y'all saw what happened there. We'll get to some comments too in a little bit, but we'll start with this. Shantelle, like, what were your takeaways from that? Because I find myself also like a lot of people are gonna now put Hamzah Sheeraz into some discussions, and I'm like, I don't know because I didn't think Edgar Berlanga was world class. I think he's interesting. I think he's fun for the sport, but ultimately, I also joke that he's going to be one of these guys that we're going to look up and he's going to be like 26-3 or 26-4 with like 20 knockouts.
So I'm gonna go back to the fight first, and then I'll get back to your question. But I didn't bet on this fight because I didn't know who was gonna win. Shiraz coming up in weight, Berlanga, he's not the most skilled fighter, but going up against a guy like Hamzah Sheeraz, who is skilled and does have power, but then isn't really proven in terms of the guys that he's fought. So you're sitting here with two guys that have a lot of hype on them, I guess you could say. So I didn't bet on this fight. I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't think it turned out like that. I didn't think Berlanga would get dropped 2 times in the fourth and then make it to the fifth while he was wobbly with his legs to his corner. And then they just, Sheeraz was too much for him. They stopped it in the 5th. But the way that kind of happened, that was a little bit surprising. Tyrone the Great, anytime you donate to the show, we go straight to your comment. Well, shut up. Donated $12.30. Thank you. That's is there a reason why you gave us $12.30? Either way, like, is it lucky or something? I don't know.
12 rounds, 3-minute rounds. I don't know. Maybe that's some inside boxing shit.
Okay, he says, I wasn't expecting Matias to win, but when he did, I was overjoyed. Shakur domination. Sheeraz can swat. Good boxing. You know what?
Tyrone, did you bet on Subriel? Let us know in the comments. We have some other comments.
I thought Puello won. But yeah, we have other comments. We are going to get to it. But when you donate to the show, we just shut up right away. We go straight to your comment. Tyrone the Great, also a good friend of the show. He always donates every time we have a live. So we do appreciate you, Tyrone. I will say this. I just didn't expect it to go down like that. Because for me, I thought it could have gone the other way too. Like leading into this fight. I'm going to be real. Because I wasn't too sure about Sheeraz. But here's the thing. We've known that Berlanga's been chinny. This has been a thing that's been rumored for a really long time. We've seen him get dropped before as well in the pros, but it was like bound to happen at some point. But I'll say this thing. I don't know if we know enough about Sheeraz. Like, why are we talking about him taking on Canelo? Like, why is this a thing?
You know
like
why.
We obviously, but it's like obviously because of Turk, but it's like I don't think we know enough about him because I don't think Berlanga was like elite. What I thought from Berlanga was that we did see him get better throughout his fights. And I also believe that he's good for the sport of boxing. I will say one thing, and I said this to Brian, the Pelly trunks and the Jordan 4 boots, loved it, right? Like he has the waviness. He's good for the sport, but he doesn't have the highest IQ. So I will say this, as in boxing skill, right? I'm not talking about like if he's good at math or something like and fractions and stuff like that. But in terms of what we just saw, man, like it's a little bit disappointing because it happened in New York, right? Like this is the main event that Berlanga was headlining, happens in New York, and he was going around, having a tour after Canelo. And this happens. Like it's not the best look. And I know you're laughing. It's it's unfortunate because I honestly do believe he's good for the sport. And I've continued to say this. But like I'm saying, Brian, I don't know if Sheeraz is that good. Like I need to see him against some more competition. Do you have the rankings? I know you're about to pull it up at some point. I see you move it. I see you move it and shake it around. So pull up the rankings because I want to see where Sheeraz is ranked and where he's going to go and the possibilities of who he could fight. Because as you know, Canelo and Butter are going to fight. And if those fights go well, they can make that a trilogy. So it might be a minute before we see Sheeraz against Canelo. But who could we see him against, Brian? That's the question at 168 pounds.
Tyrone says he bet Puello via our advice. I don't recall saying to bet Alberto Puello.
I didn't. I said I was going to bet on Puello, and I did. And to be honest with you, I thought he won. But hey, that's just me. I'm an unofficial scorecard keeper. I don't get paid for it. You know what I mean?
I've thought about applying to be a judge, but I don't know how that would affect the media portion of what I do. We could talk about that another time. Yeah. Because I have some thoughts on also the commentary, but we may or may not want to shade some people. Anyway. The rankings. I don't know how much the rankings matter if Turk is just going to put a shit ton of money on. Because here's the thing. You could sell Canelo and Sheeraz regardless of the Crawford result, even though you would think we would just get Crawford Canelo 2 regardless of how it goes. Although we can have a Canelo conversation. Friend of the show, Jesus, isn't around right now. If he were, I'm sure he would let us know. Like, there's a Canelo conversation to be had because I was alarmed that he couldn't stop Edgar Berlanga. I was even surprised. And I remember we were talking about in terms of betting. I was like, I don't know. He could stop Edgar Berlanga, but I'm going to bet on him to score a knockdown because I felt more comfortable with that. Because I'm like, Canelo also low key, maybe high key might be washed. And Sheeraz just did that. And Jim Lampley said he landed 28 punches in the entire fight. So I'm looking at Canelo Alvarez a little sideways too. Like I'm questioning Canelo Alvarez more than I'm looking at Hamzah Sheeraz like, oh, this is a future star. But I know he's going to have all the backing behind him now because you have this highlight reel finish. Hamzah Sheeraz is number 10 according to the IBF. He will inevitably shoot up because Berlanga was 5th. Berlanga was also 5th in the WBA and WBC rankings, and in the WBO, he wasn't there. If he were with Top Rank still, he'd be number 1. Actually, no, I'm wrong. He's number 2. If he were Top Rank, he would still be number 1. Diego Pacheco, your boy, who's fighting soon, there. So Edgar Berlanga's undoubtedly going to drop out of the top 5 in all of these rankings.
Shiraz, fight Diego Pacheco. You'll be on your ass. That's what I think.
That's an interesting prediction.
Yeah.
Hamzah
Wait. It is if Diego Pacheco and Hamzah Sheeraz fought, who would you take in that fight?
Probably. I was taking Pacheco over Edgar Berlanga when we threw out this hypothetical also. So I mean,
which is a fight that's not going to happen now.
We'll see how he does. Well, if he loses to Trevor McCumbee, we'll see how he does against Trevor McCumbee. But I have to feel like Diego Pacheco will look more impressive than Caleb Plant did. But we'll see. Sheeraz, though, to answer the question, 10th IBF rankings. He is not here in the WBA rankings. That's going to change. In the WBC rankings, which is probably the one that dude cares about the most, 6th. He's absolutely going to jump at least to 5. He'll swap with Edgar Berlanga, maybe even jump higher because it's a knockout. Number 5 ranked by the WBO. So he's going to vault there. But, I mean, if he's just going to fight Canelo next, then okay. But if that's going to be May, because we know Canelo's May, September. Sheeraz is going to fight somebody else in the meantime. I don't know what that's going to look like, but like, I don't know. I think Osles Iglesias is good. I think Diego Pacheco is good. Like, I think this weight class has some dudes that I don't think Sheeraz is all of a sudden just going to walk through all of them. Bruno Sarace, I'm still curious given what we know about Jaime Munguia now. I'm dead, like, for real. Like, I just, like, these are interesting matchups here. So,
and Tony Yeo says Munguia as Berlanga versus Berlanga comeback fight. Yeah, I'm down for it now. Definitely down for it now.
Tony Yeo also says Caleb Plant versus Berlanga, loser retire. Yeah, I mean, why not?
I mean, they have the storylines of like kind of the beef and stuff like that, so I'm okay with that.
And Caleb Plant just looked like shit in his last fight.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And chat, let us know. Do you think we know enough about Sheeraz? Like, is he now just that guy in this division that should be getting the shot at all the top guys? I don't believe so. I don't think just yet. I think I need to see him against somebody else.
I like, is he the guy that knocked out Edgar Berlanga and Ammo Williams, or is he the guy that got outboxed by Carlos Adames? That's what we need to find out. Yeah. I think we can move on from this main event. Although we have some tweets. Here's a good one. Berlanga every knockdown. He kept doing this. He kept clapping his hands after every knockdown.
I don't think he knew what was going on, man. He seemed kind of out of it, to be honest with you.
He had a similar reaction when Canelo dropped him too. This gif is scary. Yeah. I'm going to pause it. Luke Thomas, I'm going to not show the video because it's quote tweeting a clip from the fight, but he just says Berlanga is not good.
That's very simple. I want to go to
this is
a comment.
Luke Thomas, who I think is as good as anybody doing combat sports stuff. So I think
Jalen Davis says, we barely know Sheeraz. Great performance, but we need to pump the brakes. I agree with this. I don't think we have enough of a sample size to say how great he is, even though he had that performance against Berlanga. Tyrone the Great says Sheeraz versus Charlo. Now that's an interesting fight that I could be down for.
I'd be down for it. I don't know what to expect of Charlo at this point. Jalen Davis also says Berlanga is a character. I view him in the same light as Rolly. They are needed in the sport, 1,000%, and that's why we're going to see Edgar Berlanga again. He'll beat a couple of he'll knock out a couple of meh guys, and then he'll be right back into
who he reminds me of? Gabe Rosado. He's like a Gabe
Rosado. Wanted to fight him.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he's like a Gabe Rosado. Like, you're gonna want to watch his fights. But I feel like Berlanga hasn't had a crazy knockout for a minute.
No, I mean his fight before this, but that was against absolute that shouldn't count. If you look at the matchmaking in that one,
Yeah.
Like, it was what it was.
Let's go to our good friend of the show, Foxy, who joins us from the UK. Berlanga showed me what I always thought: fraud in all caps. The way he disrespected Hearn after everything he did for him, as well as him getting the Canelo fight, karma. You know, it's interesting. I just think he's chinny, and I don't think he was overhyped, but I think when you knock out like 16 dudes in a row or whatever it was, you're kind of set up to fail. Everyone's thinking, you know, you're the next big thing. You're from New York, you know, you have this aura around you, and then it's like you're getting criticized because you're not going the full distance. And then you go the distance, and then everyone's like, oh my God, like, okay, he went the distance. Great. Now he should get back to knocking out people. Like, it was just so unfair for him the whole entire time, right? And then also remember, before there was Xander Zayas, Edgar Berlanga had really taken off. And this was like after COVID, or like even in between COVID, people were talking about him. And they were like, well, is he the next great Puerto Rican boxing superstar? So then he had that labeled on top of him. Like, it was just so much Berlanga was dealing with it. I'm not saying that, you know, like when you're in the business like this, it comes with it, but there was a lot of hype on him, and a lot of it wasn't his fault, right? So I'm just saying, it is what it is. He took an L, a very bad L in my opinion, and you know, I do feel like we just have to see what's next for him. You know, he's going to come back. He's great for the sport. I definitely agree.
Charlie wanted to shout you out.
Okay, he says, Shantelle, thanks for the follow on IG and watching my story. Has been rocking this channel since day one. Appreciate you, Charlie. Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to Charlie. Yeah, and we both said leading up to this fight, I do think Berlanga got, like, he was improving incrementally, but ultimately, I didn't think it was going to be enough to win like world-class fights. Like, there's a distinction there. I do think he got better, but like not that much better, not like a dramatic amount. Like, you see it in the Padres and McCrory fight where he was doing some things where, like, defensively, you know, he's showing you different things than he was before. He's countering, he's being patient, he's waiting for the right openings, but at the same time, it was against Padres and McCrory. And you know, ultimately, like, was it enough that you did that against a C-level dude to do that against somebody else? So, and I thought he won a couple of rounds in this fight before that happened. I thought he won 2. I don't know if it was 3 or maybe he was winning 4 before he got dropped. I don't remember, but I thought he was fine up until he got rocked, and when he got rocked, his chin just went. I think we can
move on. Let's move on.
Just real quick, this is the resume. You were talking about like pre-COVID, during COVID, whatever. So before COVID hit, he was still doing 8-rounders, and he was relatively new to Top Rank at the time. And then this is when it starts getting questionable, to your point about like the knockout streak, the decision against Nicholson. It was like, all right, he's still like, he dropped him, I think, twice in that fight. And then the Caceres fight.
Yeah, that was the one like, where the question started. That was the one.
But again, if you're from New York, you kind of knew this had an expiration date. So I always said, always said Xander Zayas, if Puerto Rico's going to have another like star who's not Amanda Serrano, essentially, Xander Zayas has a much better shot than Edgar Berlanga. I think if people cared about dudes who are 90 pounds, Oscar Collazo could be that guy. But, you know, people don't watch minimum weights like they should, I guess.
I think that's the most fun weight to actually watch. It's my favorite. Big fan of Oscar Collazo. But we're going to get to Amanda Serrano a little bit later in the show because we have a lot to talk about with that. But I think we got to get to the co-main. They were headlining it as like 2 main events. Like they'd be like the double main event or whatever. Anyways, Shakur Stevenson, he took care of William Zepeda, and in my opinion, he pretty much dominated once he figured out that, hey, he can't stay on the ropes, he can't be in the corner. And I think the biggest thing about the Shakur Stevenson fight was he wasn't fighting like how we thought he kind of would, be more defensive, you know, not take a lot of shots. He didn't do that, which means that he was listening to what a lot of people were saying in terms of him not being exciting. So he was in there with Zepeda. He took some big, heavy shots, but he got the W. And I thought I scored at 117, 111. I thought Shakur took care of him and dominated. But here's the thing. I don't think that Shakur even had to change his style just because everybody was talking all that. Because the whole time I'm watching that fight and he's on the ropes or he's in the corner, I'm like, what is he doing? Like, why? Like, why is he doing this? And that's kind of my gripe with Shakur Stevenson, because it's like, dude, you don't have to just prove yourself like that because people are hating and saying stuff. Like, you're a very talented boxer. You don't get hit a lot. That's okay. I understand that you want to be more entertaining, but in a fight where I mean, if it got serious, at one point it looked like Shakur got hurt early on. It looked like William Zepeda stunned him a little bit early on. It looked like it, right? So, but it's like, you don't have to fight like that.
I mean, I thought he wasn't fighting his style, to your point, because it looked like he was trying to impress some people, but you could see that he didn't need to. Like, all Shakur Stevenson had to really do, easier said than done against William Zepeda, but was just stay off the ropes. Like, Super Tevin Farmer got it done, Shantelle. That's the big takeaway here. If you missed
Yes.
this week's episode, coined the phrase and comparing William Zepeda's most recent opponents with being Tevin Farmer. And I was like, Shakur Stevenson could do all the things Tevin Farmer could do. He's like a super Tevin Farmer. And then that became a thing on the episode, which we all enjoyed. Anyway, So super Tevin Farmer got it done. Look, I had 9 rounds rather. 9 rounds to 3 for Shakur. I thought the 3 for Zepeda was kind of generous. And given that one judge had it 119-109, 2 had it 118-110, that tells you that the judges only saw Zepeda getting 1 or 2 rounds, essentially.
Yeah.
Shakur, I could see him at the very most losing 4 rounds, but even that I think was a bit of a stretch. It was close in the first 4 rounds, and then Shakur just pretty much dominated from either the 5th or 6th round on, whatever it was. Zepeda was doing some good like pressure fighting early on, but ultimately he was just hitting his arms and getting a lot of his shit blocked, and he would throw a 4-punch combination, and Shakur Stevenson would just catch, parry, block. You know what I mean? Like, and he would just respond with like a straight left off of a shoulder roll, and then just catch him cleanly. Shakur Stevenson would land a lot of his punches, and emphatically too. Like, he landed the harder punches, the more visible punches. His work was cleaner. He was better. He stood in the pocket for a lot of this when he didn't need to at times. And he fought a quote unquote entertaining fight. He took more risks. He almost paid for it in a couple different times because he did get rocked multiple times. But for the most part, he was in control. I would say 90% of the fight or something close to that, he was in control of it. I think Zepeda, like, he brought out it takes 2. So he brought out a great version of Shakur Stevenson that I think people would want to see. I don't think Shakur Stevenson should fight every single fight like this, though. But ultimately, if you're fighting like a Jermaine Ortiz, for example, or Sando Martin, like, you're not going to fight this way. I think Shakur proved that he's adaptable and that he can beat pretty much anybody fighting in different ways. Like, I think if he fought Tank, he would be more patient. He would probably be more of the Shakur that people don't like, quote unquote, but he would figure out a way. Excuse me. He would figure out a way to probably neutralize him. Although I'm not sure how much we could talk about Tank now, given that he can't stop getting arrested for hitting women, allegedly. So there's that. But I think Shakur's the best at 135, hands down, right now.
I mean, I've been saying that for sure. Other than
That's true.
Tank. But I will say this.
Is it other still?
Well, listen, I don't want to talk about the stuff that's going on outside of the ring, because I think it's, you know what I mean? Like, if we did that, we would hate everybody. Like, you know what I mean? We like, let's be real. Like, we shouldn't laugh at that. But we wouldn't rock with a lot of people, because at the end of the day, like, we don't really know how people are outside of their lives. You know, if they're professional athletes, if they're rappers, like, you know, actors, like, we don't really know what they do on their free time. But, you know, not everybody has a clean life. Let's just put it like that. I'm not saying
not a lot of people have that, though. Like,
no. But you know what? I don't want to deep dive into this, but if you take a look at the history of boxers, we've seen boxers do this many times, and then you start to think like it's probably a mental health issue. It's something that they've dealt with, and I'm not making excuses for Tank, because I would never do that, because of what he is allegedly being charged for, or that he allegedly got arrested for. But I will say that there seems to be a little bit of a pattern that happens with that. And I think that needs to be looked at. However, I still think you could say Tank is that guy, but I think Shakur is right there. And that's why we need to fight with Tank and Shakur. My whole thing is that, you know, I've been saying, like, I think Shakur could probably go his career being undefeated like Floyd. because that's how good he is. I've been on this show saying that. And listen, he was really entertaining tonight. He was throwing hard punches, he was taking good shots, and that's all cool and stuff. But at the same time, and that's what I've kind of wanted him to see. But then when I'm seeing him on the ropes and I'm seeing him in the corner, I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, you want to pick and choose. That's true. You want to pick and choose who and how you're going to fight, like in a ring. That's why there's a game plan. But I don't feel like Shakur should just do stuff to prove things to people. Like, he's better than that. He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to prove it to us. Like, the dude is a winner regardless. And so that was kind of my whole thing. It's like, man, you can't really listen to everybody else outside tweeting you, and I think Shakur gets caught up in that a little bit, but he's great. And I think we kind of saw that tonight, and he gave us a performance. Everyone that was hating can kind of shut up right now, because he won. He took a lot of shots, and he fought a tough guy in a William Zepeda.
Yeah.
Right. William Zepeda is tough. He comes at you. He's a come forward fighter, a typical Mexican boxer. It does have power. And Shakur stood in there with him and took shots and traded with him. And so it's like, I don't think, and if there was one guy that he should have done that with, it should have been a guy like William Zepeda, because William Zepeda also has a big following and he's a tough fighter. So it's like, I think the hate for Shakur should hopefully stop. I don't think it is, though.
IMPK13 says, you're saying that Farmer spent a year in a hyperbolic time chamber and became Stevenson. I think, and he got younger too. Tevin Farmer was good when he was a champion at 130. Shakur Stevenson, look, William Zepeda was also number one. He's the rare guy who's number one in every sanctioning body. You unanimously agreed, yes, this is the number one contender for our title and for our title. And he had the interim WBC ultimately, so he went that route. And then, it was what it was. I thought that was a great performance from Shakur. As far as what's next, I mean, let's go back to the rankings, because the WBC is built in an interesting way, and we'll see how this sort of moves. Shakur, this is his second fight this year, so it's not a guarantee we even see him again in 2025.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing though?
Please.
When they said Shakur won, Shakur kind of looked surprised. Like, he didn't know. Like, if you take a look at his face, like he was
surprised at the scores, like the actual scores.
Yeah, but he just looked surprised. Like, he was like so happy.
Aggression all night too.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, yeah.
Andy Cruz versus Shakur Stevenson. All you people who want Shakur Stevenson to be like an exciting fighter, that ain't the opponent for that. But I think the nerds will absolutely love this fight. This is the fun one to me. When the fuck did Yadier Herrera become number 3?
Wow.
When did this happen? Have I been sleeping? I checked this shit.
No, he was there before.
He was like 12 not that long ago or something along those lines. When did okay. Shakur versus Yadier Herrera. That will be fun from the standpoint of Yadier Herrera will make it interesting in the build up to the fight. In the actual fight, I'm not sure he'll be able to land on Shakur Stevenson. When he lands on you, it could hurt. But Herrera, he's not the guy that I think would really push Shakur Stevenson in a way that William Zepeda did, I guess, if you want to even say it that way. Maxi Hughes, Rayo Valenzuela, and it gets dark pretty fast. I gotta be honest with you. Not a lot of dudes here that I want to see Shakur Stevenson fight.
Isaac Cruz.
I think the one will probably be
Floyd Schofield.
Yeah, I think we'll just revisit that. Maybe the WBC will just, Turk will just pay them $1 bajillion to put Kid Austin back in the top 10 or something like that. And then
wait, hold up. But I think there's another fight that could possibly be made, because we could get Floyd Schofield and Shakur Stevenson. Tank is set to fight next month, August 16th, against Lamont Roach.
We'll see.
If Tank, that's true. But I mean, he's been in this predicament before and still fought. So I'm just saying it could possibly happen. I'll say this though. If Tank beats Lamont in this rematch, then I think, there could possibly be some more talks about Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Tank Davis, because that's the fight to make. That is the fight to make in this division. Let's not look at these other names. I mean, we can, because they're interesting. I want the Andy Cruz one, in my opinion.
And also because boxing is boxing.
But that's the fight.
You're right. You're right. Ultimately, you're right.
right? That's the fight that I think we all want to see. That's the one that's going to be the biggest moneymaker. And that's the one I think that would do crazy pay-per-view numbers. I think that one would do pay-per-view numbers. And I think you could do that fight either in New York. I think you could do it in Vegas. I think you can do it in DC. I think you could do it wherever. That's how good that fight is.
Not Saudi.
No. Take wouldn't even allow that.
Yeah,
Take wouldn't
true.
even allow that. Take
I mean,
doesn't
that shouldn't because the people actually in this country want to see that fight. I think Shakur and Tank, at least in America, is the biggest fight in boxing that you could make.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I think it is. Like I'm not sure who else. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I'm not sure who else would crack that here specifically. Like, not like
Canelo and Benavidez. That's it.
I think,
but that's also international.
I think Shakur and Tank is bigger here.
Okay, yeah. I don't know.
I think it's bigger because with Canelo,
I think it's 1A, 1B. I think
if I'm talking specifically about here, like Canelo and Benavidez is bigger, obviously, like with Mexico. But if I'm just using just the states where Tank and Shakur are from, like that's
David Benavidez is from. He's a Mexican American.
No, but what I'm saying is the Canelo Benavidez fight is bigger because of Mexico.
Yeah, that's
like
true,
it transcends the states in a different sort of way.
Well, here, no, I agree with you that it's an international fight. I agree with you that's an international fight, but I still think that's one of the biggest fights to make in boxing, period. But also in America, if you ask people, there's only really two names that people talk about all the time: Canelo and Tank. Canelo and Tank. You could ask that to any casual, and they'll be like Canelo or Tank. So I think whether it's their names, I just think it's 1A, 1B.
Less so Canelo now, I would admit, though, because again, might be washed. We'll see. We'll see in September, but hasn't looked great. When was the last time Canelo Alvarez looked great? Honestly, like great. Caleb Plant? Yeah, 4 years ago.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But he's still a name.
Oh right? Yeah, like, he's the biggest name. He's the biggest name still globally.
He's still the face of boxing, essentially.
Globally, yeah. But listen, again, I'm still unclear on how I feel about Sheeraz. But if you told me Sheeraz was going to fight Canelo Alvarez in May, after maybe Terrence Crawford beats Canelo, like
no, they'll do a rematch. They'll do a rematch. The reason why Sheeraz is even getting talked about in that specific fight is because of Turk, because Sheeraz is Turk's guy. Like, let's not try to beat around the bush over here. He shouldn't be in a conversation with Canelo Alvarez, not at this point in his career. Like, he shouldn't be next up after Bud. Like, that's ridiculous to me. Fight somebody else at 168 pounds. No, thank you, Turk. Like, I know what you're trying to do here, but I'm not falling for it.
I'm not going to go back to Super
Al the Pal just gave us $10. If you donate to the show, we shut up. We go to your chat right away. Thank you, Al the Pal, very good friend of the show. He said whenever he fights a European, he looks great. I'm guessing Canelo. You're talking about Canelo.
Should we do Sobria, Matias, and Alberto Puello now?
Yeah, of course. That's the one I was waiting for. So I think it was the most entertaining fight of the night. I was locked in the whole time. That was the fight that I was locked into. I had Puello winning.
Right. I think you're right about that.
It was the most entertaining fight. It was action the whole time. And Subriel Matias was Subriel Matias. I had Puello winning this fight. And he didn't, but it was really close. So I don't know how the judges scored it. I think, Brian, you had it as a draw.
Although I was okay with 115, 113 in either direction. I thought it was a very close fight. And I don't think Puello got robbed or anything like that. I thought it was legitimately very close. But I get why Subriel Matias won.
Yeah, I mean, I have to look at the fight again. Maybe I'll score it differently the second time, but I had it scored 115, 113 in favor of Puello. Now, if it goes the other way, okay, whatever. But here's the thing that kind of pissed me off. That was a really good fight. Oh. Puello was just champion at 140 pounds, right? Subriel Matias is new champion at 140 pounds. And then you have Turk right after the fight. Instead of saying there should be a rematch, because there should be a rematch, because Puello is Dominican and Subriel Matias is Puerto Rican. Already you have the rivalry there. It's a good fight. Both of these guys have those fan bases. This is a fight that people enjoy. And then Turk comes to the ring and he's like, hey, come here. And he's like, you're going to fight him in November. That's what he said. And I'm like, what? Like, why are we doing this? Like, why? Like, why? Like, I don't understand, like, why this is happening, because we could just get a rematch because it was so close. Like, if Subaru Matias knocked out Puello, or if it wasn't close, I'd be like, okay, great. You bring Dalton Smith in the ring. Okay, I see what you're trying to do here. But don't be like, hey, come here.
That's
like,
the other thing.
I'm just like, what is going? Like, what is this?
I think what happened was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Matias was asked about like whatever his plans are next, and I think he entertained the ability, like entertained a rematch with Puello, and then Turk shut that down and was like, no, you're fighting Dalton Smith next. And I gotta be honest with you, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, I kind of would rather the rematch. I know Dalton Smith, like, Foxy don't shoot, because in the, in the UK, I know Dalton Smith. And look, he's the mandatory. He's deserving of a championship opportunity. But I think a lot of people would be cool with a rematch of this fight. Like, it was a really good fight. I thought Puello was really coming on strong late. I thought Matias banked a lot of early rounds and then may have won another one or two down the stretch, which is what I think nudged it in his direction. I thought it was very close, but I think it was a great fight. And I didn't like, Turk just has like so much money and influence right now in the sport, where he feels like, and probably can do whatever, that he's doing it like he's Vince McMahon. He's trying to fantasy book things like months in advance. Like, if this happens, like, it's like he has these predetermined outcomes in his head. Like when Edgar Berlanga was saying, I know we think he's a fool, but Edgar Berlanga was saying like, yo, like, I already know that they have a plan for you, talking about Hamzah Sheeraz.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, like, this is, they have like, you're supposed to have a plan for everybody. Like, Top Rank has had a plan for Michaela Mayer and Sandra Zayas, and once upon a time, Sinisa.
But they don't announce it right away, or
that's
like when the other fight hasn't happened, and it's so disrespectful,
right,
to the other fighter. This was happening, and I know Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez wasn't a very entertaining fight, but this was happening during Devin Haney and Jose Ramirez, and it was like weeks before the fight even happened, and it was the most disrespectful thing ever. It's like, why is that happening? I just don't understand. Anyways.
Also, like, especially given like Wilder Joshua, Rolly, you mentioned Rolly and Ryan and Devin Haney, that whole thing, like, that fell apart.
Yeah.
And now Devin Haney is fighting Brian Norman Jr., which,
that's a good fight.
We're going to find out if Brian Norman Jr. is really that dude at this level, and if Devin Haney is even still at this level. Like, that's an interesting fight from a lot of different angles that we'll have time to talk about. But for this particularly, it was just weird, the end of that. But regardless, I thought it was a great performance from Subriel, a great performance from Alberto Puello, a great fight. I think Puello should be right back in the title picture. Mike Coppinger actually reported that he talked to Turk, and that Alberto Puello will get a shot at the winner of Dalton Smith and Subriel Matias. So I think from a just boxing standpoint, like a rules standpoint, having the mandatory here is fine. I also think this is a thing where you don't tell Subriel in front of everybody in the arena, especially in his second language that he doesn't speak that much, like, you're forcing him to fight Dalton Smith in November. Like, if he entertains the Alberto Puello rematch in public, then at the end of the night, you pull him aside and be like, yo, so I know, but like, here's the plan. We're going to have you fight Dalton Smith. And if you win that, then we'll run back Puello. Like, you just handle it in like the back in a way that's not potentially demeaning in front of everybody. It's just weird. But again, he's not necessarily like, business savvy in that way. He's just kind of like, oh, like, I'm just gonna like just be super impulsive, and I have a lot of money, so I can do whatever I want. Tony Ayo says, what happened to Liam Paro? Well, Richardson Hitchens happened to Liam Paro. So question mark. Ryan Shepard says, if I'm Hitchens, I avoid Matias like the plague. If Shakur is super Tevin Farmer, Matias is super Gustavo Lemos. I think, what I think Subriel Matias is? He might be super Isaac Cruz. That sounds disrespectful to Isaac Cruz, but I've said
I don't know.
I've said here I think he would beat Isaac Cruz, because I think the volume and with the height and reach is too much, because Isaac Cruz is like 4'11". You know what I mean? Like, Subriel Matias is close to 6 feet tall. And Tyrone says Dalton Smith is going to get knocked out. I think Dalton Smith and Subriel Matias is a really interesting fight. It's the thing with Subriel Matias is he gets hit. So, but Dalton Smith, I mean, I don't think he's Shakur Stevenson defensively. So that's an entertaining fight. I gotta see how I feel about that one though. I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna lean with Subriel, but Dalton Smith he's got some pop, man. He's got some pop. He's got some skill. But he hasn't fought like the most amazing competition. He beat like an old Jose Zepeda, and I think that's probably his best win to this point.
Yes. Someone Tyrone the Great called him Super Isaac.
Yeah.
Super Isaac Cruz. I'll say this. I think, I mean, Super Matias and Isaac Cruz do have similar fight styles, but I do think that Super Matias can cut off a ring. Like we've seen him do it before.
He did it today.
Yeah. Whereas Isaac Cruz, like not so much, very one-dimensional, but a very exciting fighter. Very fun to watch. And he's a guy that could sell out like an arena. Like he has the star power. He's good for boxing as well. I don't have much to say about this fight except for I wish we could get a rematch because the first fight was so entertaining. So that's my only thing about it. And I think fans are left also because it was a majority decision victory, by the way. And I do feel like some fans thought Cuello won. Some fans were like, nah, Matias won. Yeah, fans like you thought it was a draw. So I think we're just kind of stuck with that. And then, Turk's already made other plans. But I do think the, Dalton Smith fight is going to be entertaining. But I just would have preferred the rematch. Now, we got the 140-pound rankings up right now. And Brian, I know you're going to go through this, but
this is going to be quick. Also of note, this is going to be in November, supposedly, in Riyadh, which I'm like, it's kind of an eye roll for me. I kind of wish it was in the UK or Puerto Rico or, somewhere else where like you could have, because if Subriel Matias is a champion, like, okay, the champion should then defend where they have, I mean, I get the neutral site defense, but like New York is available, Puerto Rico's available, Florida's available, the UK is available. I feel like it should be one of those areas, Vegas maybe even. But we'll see it in Saudi because that's what he wants. WBC rankings. Dalton Smith, Sandor Martin second. Subriel Matias versus Sandor Martin.
I don't think anyone wants to see that. But I love Sandor Martin. He's one of the of such a tricky fighter, such a crafty fighter. But I don't think that's the fight to make. But Subriel Matias and Isaac Cruz would be great.
Isaac Cruz is here. Arno Barbosa, Liam Paro, Tyrone. There he is.
Yo, by the way, Isaac Cruz and Subriel Matias. That's Mexico versus Puerto Rico.
That's the fight that, I mean, look, Dalton Smith is the mandatory, but like, I don't know how boxing hasn't figured out a way within the last year or two to make Subriel Matias versus Isaac Cruz. Like, granted, they were not always in the same weight class, but now that they are, I mean, figure it out. Like, figure it out. That's a fight that you can put easily in New York, in Florida, in Chicago, in Vegas. Like, that's in Puerto Rico, in Mexico. Like that's an easy fight to make. I don't know how we haven't gotten there yet, but it is what it is. Al tees us up for David Morrell. I mean, if you want to do a couple minutes on this, we can. Did y'all talk about Morrell? We did not. They say that they gave him the win because the other dude came from a drug fail. I don't know. Okay. David Morrell won a split decision. I had the burp. I had like a protein shake and like a peanut butter sandwich not that long ago. Like,
you guys don't know what I've heard when we've been off air before. So that, just to let you guys know, that was very tame. Okay, I've heard some very disgusting things.
I didn't actually. I muted myself, but I had to take a pause because
because I was waiting for you to talk, and I'm like, what is he doing? So
I've burped.
You shouldn't even have said anything.
I've burped like 4 times during this episode, just underneath my breath on mute.
He does a lot of other things on mute during the show.
Yeah,
that nobody knows about.
Send donations so I can get Tums or whatever they're called. David Morrell. I was good with him winning because his opponent. I posted the tweet. Let me go find it. But his opponent probably should not have fighting. Very important note. Here we go. So Imam Kataev Katayev. I don't know why I said his name like that. That was weird. Here we go. The results, because he did get banged for a positive test, apparently retroactively, and that came out this week. And then they said the fight was in jeopardy. The fight was in jeopardy, but apparently not. Steven Espinoza, by the way, retweeted this because we know each other, so that was cool. Natty Natasha retweeted me last night. I was low key gassed. You know what I mean? But we can. Do you even know who that is?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw your hype. I saw the tweet. But like it was funny because like at first I didn't know until I saw it and she was like singing.
I never care when people retweet me who are celebrities.
Al the Pal guessed it. Listen, I wasn't going to say it, but if somebody said it on the chat, Al the Pal said, damn, he farts in front of you, Shantelle, or what?
I've only done it like 7 times. Whatever.
That's a lot. That's a lot. But every time he's done it, I've been like extremely disgusted. Like it's been terrible, you guys. You have no idea what I've been dealing with. Anyways, we'll move on.
One day we'll have a Patreon and I'll do it on there. The results from Imam Katayev's positive test. The result from an April 9th, 2024 sample from Katayev was positive for clomiphene. Why did I say it like that? Clomiphene. The ITA reported in a Wednesday statement in which it declared Katayev ineligible to compete effective June 25th until June 25th, 2027. So he shouldn't have been fighting, but they were like, whatever, and this could have gotten really dangerous. And look, we've seen David Morrell get rocked like we never have, including the Dave Benavidez fight. We saw him get dropped for the first time in his pro career, and we saw him win controversially. But I think, listen, he should not have been out there with this dude. Like, that could have gotten really dangerous if he still, because of the recent positive tests. Like, that's something you should just avoid. But he won, and we'll move on. But if it has some like lingering effects and we start to see David Morrell get a little chinny, then we'll look back at this fight. But yeah, that's all I got.
You know what? I thought David Morrell started off really slow, and I thought this was a tough fight going into it. But here's the thing, like Bryan mentioned, he shouldn't even have been fighting, right? This shouldn't have been a matchup for David Morrell. But David Morrell turned it on later in the fight, and I think he kind of just woke up. So listen, I wasn't mad at that, but I think he looked a little bit different after that David Benavidez fight. But it was a little bit of a layoff. So I think when you have a layoff, you might come in a little bit rusty. And I think that's what we saw. But when David Morrell turned it up, it was exciting. And he did that near the later rounds. So that's all I really have to say about that. I think we need to continue to see him in some big fights. And like Bryan said, the PED thing was not discussed. But it's a very important point in all of this.
I know David Morrell's at light heavyweight now, but Hamzah Sheeraz versus David Morrell is a fight that I could see dude making because they were both on the same card. I don't think he'll go that route, though, because Sheeraz just got to 168. But
I was going to say, yeah.
That'd be a fun opponent. Couple comments before we get to Friday night, because that was one of the most fun cards that I've probably seen in a while, but we'll get to it. Foxy, also off topic, but needs to be mentioned, Rodriguez Jr., this is true, with the positive VADA test after his Yafai win. Another one linked to Eddie Reynoso. Somebody said that was 7 or something along those lines.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's getting kind of insane now. But hey, man, it's interesting. Let's go to Ryan Shepard. Second straight ring Saudi card when someone tested positive, but he just keeps talking about Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I got you. Okay. Hey man, listen.
What was the last one, Ryan? Why am I blanking on Shantelle, you remember? Tested positive in the last ring Saudi card. I feel like it's somebody really obvious.
It is probably that. We're probably
Munguia has to be Munguia.
Oh, okay, right? Yeah. Which was massive. We did a whole show on it. Actually, we did an entire show on it. So
yeah, the Tom and Jerry shit is also stupid, but it is what it was. Okay,
let's get to Friday night. Let's get to Friday night, because Tyrone the Great says Ramla fight was a robbery. Ramla Ali.
I don't think we're starting with Ramla Ali, but a lot of people agree with you, Tyrone. Okay, so this fight I was at.
Yeah, so let's start over there. So Bryan, in terms of atmosphere, when you were there, what was the vibe like? I heard it was like sold out. we saw it was happening in there. They were playing Tupac Hit 'Em Up in between rounds, and I was like, oh, this is a vibe. What was it like in there?
It was crazy. Um, that's the loudest I've heard New York City be for a Puerto Rican fighter since Miguel Cotto's retirement fight in 2017. That's a long time. It also gives you an idea of like the sort of lack of stars from Puerto Rico or representing Puerto Rico. Um, right now, Amanda Serrano's been the biggest one pretty much since Miguel Cotto's retirement or something along those lines. We know it was supposed to be redacted, but he's in prison for obvious reasons. And it looked like a Top Rank was going to build him up to be that guy, but he lost around the time Miguel Cotto retired, I think slightly after I was at that fight. I was going to do a story on him and Christopher Diaz and Jose Pedraza as some big Puerto Rico thing or whatever. And then it just ended up being on Christopher Diaz because, dude lost. Then Jose Pedraza had a meh win. Anyway, last Friday, not last night. Oh, yeah, well, technically, actually, last night. Yeah, it was the loudest that I've heard it for a while. Katie Taylor also had a support. She also had a lot of like. You want to talk about communities in New York City? Irish, like,
Yeah,
you ever been to New York City for St. Patrick's Day and around that
I'm
time of the year,
I'm
or
guessing
when
it's wild.
a big time fighter from Ireland or even the UK in general just fights out here. The first boxing card I ever covered, I've mentioned this on the show plenty of times, was main evented by Carl Frampton and Leo Santa Cruz. And Carl Frampton, the support that he had from people there were people crying after he beat Leo Santa Cruz in that fight. Crying. And it was a majority decision. Fantastic fight. One of the best, still one of my favorite cards that I've ever covered in person. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, the atmosphere was crazy. All the women, first of all, Guinness World Record for most championships on the line in one single card. They did that with all women. Now, I will say, like, a couple of the fights were probably one sided, but the card top to bottom, I delivered overall. The weakest fight on the card ended up probably being the main event,
Yeah.
which is interesting, which we'll get to. But, this, ironically for me, was the most one sided of all the fights because I think fight number one had an argument between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano for either side. Fight number two, I think, had an argument for either side, but a strong one for Serrano. I think most
Yeah.
people would say Serrano at least won the second one. I think the first one is more split. And then the third fight, Katie
All Katie
Taylor.
Taylor.
Yeah, I thought she won 7 rounds to 3, which is what two of the judges had. I hated Amanda Serrano's game plan. It looked like she was trying to become more of a counterpuncher. She seemed to be struggling to find the range the entire night.
So here's my question about that to you, Brian.
Yeah.
Why would she change the game plan? Because it seemed to have worked in the last fight. It's just the judges didn't see it that way. Do you feel like she went that route and she was trying to box on the outside as well? Because she was trying to get a different decision? Like, why do you think that she just didn't stick with that game plan? Because it didn't make sense because I think the fans thought she took the second one for sure. But also, even in the first one, it was like, I thought she won the first one. So it's like, why would you go ahead and change your game plan if so far that's worked against Katie Taylor?
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me. Some people joke that she was scared of getting headbutted. I don't think that's the case, but I mean, why would you be? But like, I don't know. And we talked about how fighters can age from fight to fight. I'm not saying she's shot, but I do think like maybe there was a little bit of an admission there. Like, well, we might look back on it and be like, oh, maybe she couldn't turn it up from a volume standpoint the way that she should have. I thought Katie Taylor did a great job of managing the distance. Like, she was getting in and out very like easily at times. Her speed she still has some of the fastest hands in boxing at damn near 40 years old, Katie Taylor. Her accuracy was more apparent. I thought Amanda Serrano won rounds 8, 9, and one of the first couple. That's it. 8 and 9 were rounds that Katie Taylor kind of took off. But Amanda Serrano, like, she wasn't throwing to the body enough. She wasn't really establishing her offense that much. Like, she was, and a lot of the punches that it'll say she threw were ultimately like rangefinders, were ultimately like just short shots to try to set up other shots that she couldn't really establish. Like, it was It was just a befuddling performance. And it was the most decisive of the three fights. I thought Katie Taylor won it, and I thought won it pretty easily. But I thought they were going to rob her because I
Yeah.
thought they were going to potentially make up the last fight, but Amanda didn't give them enough to even get that close. So I thought Katie Taylor, like, listen, she has a GOAT case. You know what I mean? Like she's got some very close decisions, and people would say that she's gotten some favorable judging in the past. In certain fights, like the first two Serrano fights, for example, but it doesn't stop there. But she has a GOAT case for the women. And Eddie Hearn did say like he thinks she's one of the best boxers we've seen. I mean, look at her resume. Look at who she's beaten. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I
Like,
think even before the third fight, she had a go case because of her popularity and also just in terms of her resume. I think Katie Taylor is right there. But here's the thing: does the GOAT case hurt Amanda at all because she lost this fight, or do you think she's still right now? You could argue that she's the GOAT,
Katie Taylor?
Amanda.
Oh, well, I mean, she's going to have the three losses on the record. Even if I think and you think that she probably won the first two, definitely the second. I thought she edged out the first one as well, but it's going to say 0-3. And ultimately for Amanda, it's also like she was moving up in weight. Like apparently she's planning on continuing fighting at 126, which is her more natural weight class, but she's won titles in 7 different weight classes. Like they're both on women's boxing Mount Rushmore all time. Like I know
Yeah,
Layla Ali and Ann Wolf and others came earlier, but you know, I mean, it's the same thing we do in rap, where like a lot of people would say Rakim is the GOAT, or Kool Moe Dee, or Big Daddy Kane is like up there or whatever. But it's like, yeah, but I mean, and you get credit for it's a different category. You get credit for innovating the style, you know, the multi-syllabic rhyming and things of that nature. But then Nas comes out in 1994 with Illmatic, takes it to a different level, and has a way, 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 way longer career. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, like that's just how it works. So like with Layla Ali and Wolf and others, you get pioneer points for sure. But then at some point you get to like, listen, Clarissa Shields has accomplished a lot. Katie Taylor has an
yeah.
incredible resume. Amanda Serrano did this in all these different weight classes. And it's like they're ultimately like they have better resumes. Like you could say Rakim is the GOAT, but like compare his discography to Nas. Same thing with KRS-One. Like it is what it is. So I think with Amanda, I mean, not winning any of these sucks, even if you feel like she won the first two, but ultimately it's gonna be 0-3, and that's what it was.
Do you think Katie retires after this? Like, what do you think is next? Because we were talking about this a little bit off air, but apparently someone asked her if she would like that rematch with Shantelle Cameron, and she kind of threw shade at Shantelle Cameron, if I'm not mistaken.
She did. She was like, she says something along the lines of like Chantel Cameron not being able to fill out a 1,000 seat arena. We posted the
But
press conference. We posted the press conference. We posted the
but let's
interviews
not
and stuff.
forget, Shantelle Cameron dominated her in the first fight. Like Katie moved up thinking, hey, I'm gonna take over this weight class now. And Chantel Cameron was like, nah, hold up, wait a minute. I'm gonna dominate you in every round of this fight. And yeah, Chantel Cameron might not have the cachet of the name that Katie Taylor has, but I don't think Katie Taylor comes up ever and beats her again. Like I think Katie knows that. She's not beating Chantel Cameron. There's no way she beats
I'd
her in
like to see
Chantel
that.
Cameron's weight class.
No, Katie's non-committal on whether she'll fight again. She's not retiring
Yeah.
definitively, but so we'll see. And for people dropping in late, we will get back. We will round up with comments and stuff because we talked about Berlanga and all that stuff already. But we'll get back to it. Don't worry about it. We're just on Friday night now, but yeah, like I think with Katie Taylor, like I'd like to see her fight in Ireland again because I don't feel like she's done that enough throughout her career. Croke Park, they mentioned. I'd like to see Chantel Cameron. I don't think it needs to be that. And with
Yeah.
Amanda Serrano, there are fights to make too. So like it was just a tough one. The rest of the card though, like there's a lot there that I think is worth talking about. But as far as what's next for each, like I think you could go in a
Whatever they
lot of
want to
different
do.
directions. Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
whatever
yeah.
they essentially want to do. And, if Amanda moves down to her natural weight class at 126, then I think there is a possibility maybe she fights an Alicia Baumgartner, and we should talk about her because what did you think about Alicia Baumgartner's performance? Because from everything that I saw, underwhelming.
I thought she lost the fight.
I think a lot of people thought that. I think a lot of people thought that Alicia Baumgartner lost that fight. And here's the thing. She just got pinched for PEDs not too long ago. She hired someone to do the investigation, and it came out that, and then nothing really came out about it. It was really hush-hush. Comes back, and she's in a performance that she should have won. And she did. On paper, she won. But I think a lot of people thought that she lost that fight, Bryan. And you yourself, you were in the building when the scorecards got read out. Like, what was the vibe like?
Too wide. It was way too wide. Jennifer Miranda, I said it here. I was like, man, I kind of think she's being underrated because she's from Spain and people don't watch boxers from Spain like that. But as somebody who now loves Spain, having been there all of one time, I thought Jennifer Miranda like had a shot to make this interesting. And I thought she won 6 rounds to 4. I was like, what did Alicia Baumgartner do? You know what I mean? In the fight to warrant 98-92, which is outrageous. 97-93 was, I thought, kind of crazy. Draw, okay, but like I don't see how she won in dominant fashion. Miranda was physical with her and really established her jab early. And she kept landing straight right hands also. Like she was landing some of these punches and it was tricky. And she was pushing the pace and things of that nature. Pulled up the punch stats here. If you're looking at it round by round, again, I always say punch stats not always indicative of how a fight is scored, how a fight goes. Not always accurate either, in my opinion. Like for sure, I can remember more than one punch landing in round 1 from Jennifer Miranda, but they have her at 1 for 16. But if you're looking at it just from a punch stats perspective, Miranda outlands her in round 3, matches her in round 4, outlands her in 6, outlands her in 8, matches her in round 9. And then the accuracy numbers. In totality, by the way, Jennifer Miranda outlands her by 1 punch, throws a lot more. She was busier. I don't feel like what Alicia Baumgartner landed was like all that impactful. If you look at the power punches here too, jabs 26-24 for Alicia Baumgartner. Power punches 55-52 for Jennifer Miranda. Only 2.5 percentage points worse. But like you saw how noticeable some of those punches were. And I think it caught Alicia Baumgartner off guard because 1, it's been a while. She mentioned this at the press conference. It's been a while since she's fought 10 rounds. So there's that. 2, Derek James, that was new. You got to get accustomed to a new trainer. Takes a minute. And then 3, it's also just Jennifer Miranda having like barely any stoppages in her career and then coming in and having a game plan where like she was like the bigger person in there. She dominated in round 8. I thought she was better in round 7, but 6, like a lot of these mid to late rounds, 3, 1, like I gave her 6 rounds in this fight for sure. But I wasn't surprised that Alicia Baumgartner got the win because the fight was giving major Alicia Baumgartner's going to, or Jennifer Miranda's going to get disrespected by the judges' vibes because Alicia Baumgartner is new to MVP and they obviously want to build her into being a bigger star than she already is. So you're on mute.
It's getting
Once per
late,
episode. Guys. Once per episode.
It didn't happen last episode. I will say this. The one thing that I noticed was the Derek James thing. Usually when you get with a new trainer, it's a little bit of an adjustment. You don't see them just like come out and be extremely aggressive. They're, a little bit. And I felt like we saw that with Alicia, but also I don't feel like she was listening to anything Derek James was saying in the corner because they went to it and like Derek James is giving her some great advice and Alicia's nodding her head and goes out there and does the complete opposite, is not even listening to him. So I'm like, what is going on here? But that was something that I noticed. But I think this
By the way, Jennifer Miranda technically could fight Amanda Serrano next. And I think that'd be an interesting fight because Jennifer Miranda naturally is a featherweight. So that's another thing. She was moving up in weight.
Interesting, but I think MVP is going to try to make the biggest money fight. And I think we are going to get Alicia Baumgartner and Amanda Serrano.
You do?
Okay. I think we're going to get it. They're under the same type of management now. It's one of the biggest fights that you can make in boxing. And here's the thing. I think at this point, Amanda takes the L from Katie Taylor. And I think right now all the conversation about everything has stopped because I think Katie Taylor proved like, hey, all that talk dominated in this third fight. Amanda is still not only the face of Puerto Rican boxing, not only the face of women's boxing, despite how great Katie Taylor is. Just, you know what I mean? Also, you got to add in Clarissa Shields. She has a movie out. She's my goat. Like, you know, I haven't won A1B. Yeah, and she was cheering on Shakur like crazy. Of course, she's Team Shakur. But I will say that she's still the face of boxing. You know, I've said this before. Amanda, like the way that she is viewed now, she's one of the biggest faces of boxing, and that is going to continue. And I think that's why a fight like this can get made. As for Alicia Baumgartner, there's a lot of questions more than ever. More than ever. You got pinched for PEDs. We had questions then, and then it, you know, went away. We all shut up. We were like, whatever. We love Alicia Baumgartner. We're going to shut up because we want to see her back. Right? Guys love her for multiple reasons. No, I'm being honest here. I'm being honest here, right? Like Alicia Baumgartner, like if you want, and let's look at this in the selling point, because this actually came up in Clarissa Shields' movie. If you guys go and see it, is when she was younger. You know, when it came to a selling point, Clarissa wasn't having it. She didn't want to smile. She didn't want to like do nothing for the cameras. She didn't care about taking photos and stuff. She just wanted to box. But then she had to learn the business of boxing. You got to be able to sell yourself. Now, this is in absolutely everything that is entertainment. You got to be able to sell yourself. There has to be some type of appeal. If I had to pick any boxer out there to be under my promotional company, Alicia Baumgartner is probably one of the best people you can get, because not only can she box, she's absolutely gorgeous, right? So it's like she can box and guys will probably love her. And they do. And like there's this video that we have on our YouTube. It's a short. And Brian's talking about Alicia Baumgartner's accolades and all of this, right?
Before she got popped.
Yeah. So pretty much before, this is like early mandatory days, we would create these shorts. And they'd be like stories of boxers, which we used to do for a prominent sports book that we used to work at. And yeah, we took that and we tried to do it, okay?
It worked, and then we were just like, we don't have time for this shit.
So this Alicia Baumgartner thing got over 50K views or whatever, right? And all of the comments are either, yo, she's a beast, or it's like, yo, she's so fine. Like, that's it. Those are the two comments that come up, or she got pinched for PEDs or something about the whole PEDs thing. But this thing has taken off, right? Those are the only three comments that come up about Alicia Baumgartner. And now, hold up. I know you're laughing, but after this fight, now we have even more questions. We're like, why did you not win that fight distinctively? Like, why are we not saying, yo, Alicia Baumgartner came back and that was like a fight where she dominated? Now we got more questions. So I think putting Alicia and Amanda Serrano in a fight would be massive. Like, that would be a crazy, crazy big fight. What were you laughing about, Brian?
Al the Pal's comment. This is absolutely not her name. She is white as shit. All right.
What?
No,
I wasn't listening. I was on my phone. Can you say that again?
He's talking about Ebane, Ebony Ebane Bridges, the Australian chick, who just signed the MVP.
What? Ow.
Yeah.
I can't totally help you out with that one.
Foxy says, has she scored a single knockdown or knockout since the drug test? No, actually, we are going to do one of our favorite things, and that is look at somebody's resume. Jennifer Miranda, by the way, I want to see if she posted something about this, but I thought she didn't get a fair shake, but we'll see. Anyway, Alicia Baumgartner, 16-1, 7 knockouts. The one came very early in her career. So the whole PED thing was after this fight against Cristina Linardatu, who, by the way, is the person who beat Alicia Baumgartner in 2018. Yeah, very early on.
That was her decision. Only one loss, yeah.
She wanted to avenge this. Cristina was being promoted by Lou DiBella ahead of this fight. And Lou DiBella was one of the only people in boxing like, yo, like we should actually take this test seriously. These are 2 tests. And we did the episode here where I was like, oh, these are steroids that have been linked to people like Alex Rodriguez, for example, and other legitimate former baseball players who were suspended You know what I mean? Like for some serious shit. Other cyclists and things like that had this in their system, and she just kind of gets cleared. So she takes the year off. She comes back against Delphine Persoon. That was the same night as a couple of other fights. I think one of them was that Michaela. I think it was. Yeah, it was. It was Michaela Mayer and was it Sandy Ryan? I want to say it was Sandy Ryan. Xander Zayas fought. Julius Randle got traded from the Knicks for Karl Anthony Towns. Like a lot of shit happened that night, so nobody watched this fight. It was like it was.
I also think Donald Trump got shot that day too. It was the same day, right? It's not funny. I think that's the day he got shot at. His ear. I swear that was, or was that another day? I don't know.
I have an amazing thing I can say, but I don't want to get banned.
That's what I knew. By the way, that's what I knew he was going to win the election, because like y'all Americans love guns.
Yeah,
no, I'm
listen,
being
Miss
serious.
Canada, we can't listen. We're down bad over here. All right.
I don't want to say anything. I gotta go back to Seattle tomorrow, so I'll be quiet. But I'm saying y'all love guns. You know what I mean? So I just remember seeing that visual.
Not here, not in New York. No, we don't.
Well, it's not a carry state, but still, when you talk about the amendments or whatever, right?
God, we don't need them problems. We
didn't need to talk about this, but I'm just saying when he got shot at, I knew he was gonna win the election. I'm like, Americans are gonna eat this up, like, and they're gonna love this. Like, it was the best ploy of all time.
So this was Alicia Baumgartner's first 10-round fight since that 2 years ago, since all that happened. She hasn't gotten a knockdown. Well, technically, yeah, she dropped Delphine Persoon in that last fight in the first round, but it was a no contest. And Persoon also, like, she was the mandatory challenger. She also had like a knee brace. She's in her early 40s. She looks slow. Like it just didn't. She didn't look the way in that fight that she does in Undisputed, is what I'll say. And then before this, like the Michaela Mayer win was debated by a lot of people. I remember thinking Alicia Baumgartner as that one out, but I remember that was somewhat controversial. But the big breakout win for her is Terry Harper, which is a win that I think has aged actually pretty well.
Well, that was the knockout, like crazy, like Terry Harper was still standing up. I remember watching that like at the airport and like going nuts while I was waiting to catch my flight. Like that was the fight that. Oh yeah, Ryan Shepard. She was also fighting on. Oh, are you guys talking about that Bridges person?
No. They're talking about Alicia Baumgartner against Delphine Persoon. It wasn't. Was it on TV? Prime? No, it was Brinks TV.
Oh, okay.
Close enough. I mean, Tubi would have been an upgrade, probably. Do you know what Brinks TV is?
I've heard of it.
I haven't.
I know I've heard it before. There's been some fights on there before. I think there's been a couple of UK fights on there, if I'm not mistaken. It could be
Foxy says we're just as bad in the UK with knives. I've heard. And also says Bridges recently had a kid with Kell Brook. Is that who it's with? I didn't know that was the father.
Oh, okay. There you go. That's how you spell her name.
We are officially off the rails. We're hour 15 minutes. What were you about to say, Shantelle, before we move off?
I have no idea. It's gone.
Does it matter?
It was probably something stupid.
Do you want Amanda Serrano versus Alicia Baumgartner next though?
That's the one that I think I'd like to see, because I don't. Even though Clarissa said, "Yo, I'm gonna move down. I'll move down. I'll meet you at like I think she said like 147 or something like that."
Alicia talked about that.
Okay.
After the fight.
What did she say?
She was asked about Clarissa Shields. She was like, "Man, let's be serious." It was basically like she pointed at the weight difference. She's like, I'm 130 pounds. I'm a super featherweight. Like basically implying that that's not going to happen. What could happen though? Segue. Shadeja Green. Yeah. Shadeja Green. This was a big thing in the press conference that was discussed. Shadeja Green versus potentially Clarissa Shields, because Savannah Marshall didn't hold up her end of the bargain, because Savannah Marshall was the only A side to lose on this card. Shadeja Green wins, I thought, justifiably. Got deducted a point for holding in round 4, and then whooped Savannah Marshall's ass for like the rest of the fight. It was great.
Happy for Shadeja, but I didn't expect that, and Savannah Marshall messed up my parlay, so I will be upset with her. And that was the one
Green also got the performance bonus.
That was the one
250K.
lock I had on my parlay. I was like, I thought about it. I was like, you know what? It's so weird. I did think about it. I'm like, no, Savannah's got this. Savannah's got this. And she messed up my parlay. So she will not be forgiven.
This is a good joke from Ryan. Half of is she half? She can't be half. She cannot be half.
You guys, let's stop spelling her name like that. That's my only.
No, I want more inside jokes. I want more inside jokes on the show.
That's my only request. Okay.
Allow me to breeze through the rest of the cards. So Deja Green was great. She got the performance bonus. She says she's gonna like try to take her family into some better living conditions, hang out with the kids, chill for a bit. Hopefully she gets Clarissa Shields next, because I think that'll be a great fight. Ellie Scottney, I thought was potentially an upset alert against Yamileth Mercado. That was a no contest. Ellie Scottney beat the shit out of her. Was just styling, hands low, counter punching. Ellie looked great. Can't wait to see her next fight. Sharnika Johnson beat the shit out of Sharetta Metcalf, like from the opening bell, just physical, established her jab, throwing a straight right hand, got the doctor stoppage in round 9 or right at the start of round 9. Sharnika was great. Excited to see what she's going to do also. There's a world where she could fight Ellie Scottney at super bantamweight. That could be fun. Shantelle Cameron handles your girl, Jessica Kamara, who, again, was tough as shit, but just outclassed because Shantelle Cameron's good. By the way, not great that Shantelle Cameron was on the 3rd fight in this card, but
I was surprised because I wasn't able to watch this. I was working in Seattle, and I hit up Brian like, hey, did Shantelle Cameron fight after Ellie Scottney or before? And he's like, that was early. The disrespect. I swear, I'm gonna do a whole thing on Shantelle Cameron one day, guys, because she is that good. The amount of disrespect that she's getting, she's the queen of her division.
Easily.
Like, but what are we doing here?
Well, Katie Taylor technically is now, but like she beat Katie Taylor in this division previously, yada yada. Fight again. Do it at Croke Park. That would be great. Ramla Ali, Tyrone mentioned this earlier. Probably a robbery. Definitely 78-74 was egregious. Won a fight she probably shouldn't have. But again, MVP signed Ramla Ali, and she's probably going to get the benefit of the doubt. I think Ramla Ali is great for the sport. She's a model. She's an ambassador. She's an activist. She's a lot of different things. She doesn't really need to box, so she just does it because she can. Jasmine Jobson, who I love from Top Boy, is going to be playing her in a biopic. Like, Ramla Ali's out of here. But, you know, she didn't win this fight, in my opinion. But I love Ramla Ali, so whatever. And Tam Tabal is going to be fucking awesome. We keep saying it on this show. Shantelle.
We got one. I'm just saying we got one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna roll with this for a minute. Not only do we have Better BF, but we got Tam.
Hey, Lucas Body.
Lucas Body, yes. We were actually just talking about him in that weight class, weren't we?
Do you claim Christian and Billy?
Nah.
He'd be fighting up there.
He do, but nah, he's not. I'm telling you who we're claiming. Not yet, okay? Not yet. He's not Canadian, though. He fights up in Montreal a lot, but he's not Canadian. Okay?
Does he live there? Is that what it is?
I think so.
Tam's
going to be a problem.
Tam Tabal is fucking ridiculous. Listen, I was covering her on my channel like leading up to the Olympics last year because she was favored to win the gold medal. She got upset pretty early, but it ended up starting her pro career. She's fighting 3-minute rounds, and she's beating the fuck out of these girls. She beats Mary Casamassa, who's 6-0 leading up to that. Dropped her in round 1, stopped her in the 5th. It was the first fight on the card. She's a year or two, probably 2 years away from Clarissa Shields, I think. But like, this is gonna be like a challenge for Clarissa Shields at some point, and I'm not sure.
Well, Clarissa's gonna be older. Clarissa's already 30 years old, right? So when Tam's young right now, so you're thinking Clarissa could be able to fight her like 33, 34, and like you don't know when that age is gonna hit you, especially when you're a woman. It's a little bit different. Like I know that we're seeing Amanda like fight at she's older, Katie Taylor fight when she's older, but you just never know when your body's gonna actually change, and like you never know if her and Pap start having kids. Because she said she wanted kids. I'm telling you, because your body will change once you have children, right? Like they always say that. So I do believe Clarissa Shields said she wanted kids. And I do believe her and Papoose are serious. And papoose, a lot of kids, right? So you never know what could happen
All
here.
right,
Just saying.
Tam, just be ready because I think that Clarissa Shields fight's gonna happen someday.
Clarissa Shields is so nuts. She'd probably be like sparring as she's like pregnant, or like I'm telling you, like she's ready to fight anybody.
Tam also has this thing in the press conference where like every time she's about to say something, it looks like it's about to be the funniest fucking thing in the world. Because she has a face where she looks like she's smirking every time she talks. So everything
Yeah.
she says is kind of funny. We should try to interview her. I would so be down for that. But you're
Yeah,
gonna have to pull that off because you're, you could play the
a
country
fellow
card.
Canadian. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
And also, if I did it, she would probably think it's weird. You know what I mean? But
I don't think so because you work in media, so
yeah,
you're
but
overthinking
like,
it. You're overthinking it, and you have a boxing show.
yeah, but I don't want to. You're Canadian. You do it. I don't want to appear like a creep. You know what I mean? Like,
but you wouldn't be. Anyways, that's not the point. Anyways, anything else before we get up and out of here? Comments.
Comments and questions. That's it. We did have one about Ramla Ali, actually. Where was it? Tony Yayo. Shout out. Is Ramla Ali better than Nico Ali Walsh? This sounds disrespectful. It's an interesting comparison. I'm going to say yes because she could at least get to a world title shot. Granted, different scale of competition, but I'm going to say yes. She's at least losing to contenders and champions usually. Nico Ali Walsh is not. Did you see Nico Ali Walsh get tossed by Terrence Crawford because Terrence Crawford is good at every fucking sport?
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, let's take a look at some more comments here.
Can I show you this?
No, because I got to get up and out of here soon. No. Sorry, guys. Now you guys are actually seeing how Bryan and I interact. Please,
you're gonna want to see this.
I've already seen it. Ryan, I'm gonna leave.
Look at him. Look at Oscar De La Hoya.
He does this shit all the time.
Trolling Edgar. Look. This is 15 seconds.
Oh my God. Sheeraz, congratulations. Berlanga. Oh my God, you got knocked out. Oh my God. Oh, something Canelo Alvaroids couldn't do.
Why? Why? Why?
I don't know. But you guys, if you want to know why your comments got cut short, it's because Bryan just played that video.
No, we got just a few more. Just a few more.
I know, but no. I actually really have to go, guys. I this is serious. I have to travel tomorrow.
What time is your flight?
Well, I'm driving down, but the game starts early at 3. But I also have to get prepared for something else as well, another show that I'm doing. So I have to actually bounce. So Bryan just took a minute off your guys' comments because he wanted to pull something like that after I told him not to. All right, Ryan Shepard, give it 3 years, and Drake will be trying to go to a TAM fight.
1 year, honestly. Oscar De La Hoya is a weirdo, bro. Wasn't impressed with the Fat Joe Berlanga entrance either. Me neither.
I don't even remember it. I don't even remember what it was like.
Afro says, I told y'all Berlanga was gonna get whooped. We didn't necessarily disagree, I don't think. And Afro Soul says Shakur is unbeatable.
Yeah, and I've said that before, Shakur, and it looks like Shakur can beat you in different ways. But as for Berlanga and Sheeraz, like I didn't know who was gonna win that fight. I think it could have gone the other way too, and we would have been having a different conversation here right now.
We'll be back sometime this week. We have a lot. Bam, Pacquiao inexplicably getting a title shot. Usyk Dubois. I think I'm forgetting. Isaac Cruz, I think, is fighting. Jesus. Why are they putting everything on the same night?
What does this mean? Is this when? That means good, right? Oh. Was he just saying bon voyage? Is that what you're saying?
Kinda.
Okay.
Like,
what is this?
Good travels, have a good trip.
Oh, that's nice, Raphael. Yeah, that's really sweet. I was about to chat GPT. I don't know if you guys are playing with me. What? Anyways, everyone's saying bye. Why? I'm gonna look this up on chat GPT, Raphael. I gotta make sure. It seems like something nice that you'd say.
I just told you.
I don't trust you anymore. Okay, I told you. I literally told you to not go to that screen, and you still
All
did
right.
it. Brian doesn't listen.
All right, I can send this out. It's fine.
Okay.
Well, Afro Soul says I think Dubois might shock the world next week.
So just a heads up, guys. We're a little bit unsure of what we're gonna do next week. I am still figuring it out, but I will let Brian know.
Post-fight wise.
It's up in the air, but we'll have a live show this week sometime, and we'll figure it all out and let you guys know, because it's a jam-packed Saturday, and we're gonna try to do something on that Saturday. So we'll definitely let you guys know. Also, if you like the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Also, follow us on our social media channels. Brian, I'll let you have the last words because I know you have a lot to say.
I think Friday's card was still better.